Our first guest on this edition of Palmetto People is Mark Allison from Myrtle Beach. And Mark, thank you very much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure being here. Thanks for asking.
And you're the surf guy because you run Surf City Surf Shop and you offer surf camps for people during the summer.
You know, it's really great. We get a lot of people come down to Myrtle Beach. It's not that it's a great surfing destination, but they definitely want to learn how to surf. And because of the gentle surf that we get here for the most part, it's really accommodating to us, and we have a lot of success with it, and people love it.
What is the appeal for people to get up on a board and on the waves?
You know, I don't know. It's a passion with me. It's an addiction with some. And I noticed one of the snowboarders, the girl snowboarders from the X Games, when they asked her what was her favorite thing that she did when she wasn't snowboarding, and she said surfing. So it has just a kind of a mystical thing that people enjoy getting on top of the board. It's very natural experience being out in the water. It's great.
You do offer these surf camps in Myrtle Beach, and you started back in June, I guess, this year.
Yes.
And you'll go through August?
Yes, we'll go all the way through the end of August with it till the kids go back to school.
Now, is it just for kids, or do you have people of all ages?
We start them out. We tell people we like to start them out at about 8, and we say that we'll take them to 80. But, you know, we've had several people in their 50s that come in that want to learn how to surf, and, you know, people that are, athletes and want to go out and try something different.
How long are the camps, and are there one-day sessions, or are there three-day sessions?
We break it up several ways. We do 3-day camps. On Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we're out there from 9 to 12. And then on Mondays and Fridays, we do what we call mini camps. And we do those from 9 to 10:30 and 10:30 to 12. So it gives us a chance to get some of the younger kids in the little mini camps because of the tension, you know, trying to keep them focused for 3 hours is kind of tough. Plus, it's pretty physical, and people will come out fairly exhausted, you know, kind of beat up after a day.
What is the camp like? What is a day like out on the water when you have one of these camps? Are you in the water constantly? Do you do some stuff on the beach first and then go in the water?
What we do is we start them out on the beach. We have our tent. We have our little staging area there, and we go. And I try to talk to them and tell them every day. Some of the people are with us for 1 day, some for 3 days. But we look at the conditions, and we try to explain to them. Said as a surfer, we go out there and what do we have? We got the wind is this, the tide is that, the swell is different. Every day is changing. It changes through the days. We explain the tide changes. We talk about the winds, the prevailing winds that we have here. We talk about the currents that we have here, the longshore currents when we got the wind out of the southwest. And we talk about riptides. You know, the beach safety is very important for us, and we try to tell all the kids, adults, everybody that they have out there for lessons that you need to be aware of the conditions. You know, where you enter the water. You know, the current can take you and move you around. So a lot of stuff that we kind of take for granted when we go out there every day. But it's that kind of stuff that we try to tell the entry-level person how important it is, and water safety.
You say entry-level person. Are all of the people that come to the surf camps beginners?
For the most part. Now, we have people that have been coming back year after year, and what we do is we have a curriculum, we'll call it, that we do for the entry-level person. You know, actually during the day we start it with stretches. You know, we'll go through some stretches, some calisthenics, limber up. You know, even though they're young, you know, as you get a little older in life, you know, if you want to remain active, you know, you really need to stretch out a little bit. So we go through that, the water safety, you know, look at the conditions. Then we go out for about 45 minutes. We'll take a break, and then we'll kind of talk about what we did. And then we'll go back again, and we have we have body boards, mostly surfboards, what people really want to do. But some of the younger kids, after they've been kind of bounced around a little bit, we got body boards and skim boards. So we give them the whole gamut there of the beach activities there around the beach.
Physically, what kind of skills does a person have to be able to surf? Can anybody do it?
Cardio is important because you're paddling out there all the time. But when we're giving them the lessons, we're out there with them in the water. I got one instructor with 2 people, hands-on, pushing them into waves, kind of selecting the wave for them to give them the best takeoff, entry level, so they can kind of glide into the wave without nose diving, crashing because that's what happens when you're out there. Even the experienced person, when the waves are windy and it's shifty, they'll get just jacked. The waves will jack up and they'll get slammed on the beach. So we try to take that away for the entry-level person. But cardio is important. Being able to get to your feet, kind of a push-up. We have a pop-up drill that we do, and we put them on the board, and we tell them how to put their arms underneath their shoulders and pop up without dragging their knees and getting up into an upright position to where they've got a real low center of gravity and stable on the board.
It seems like timing would be a very good asset to have when you're out there because you've got to time the wave, you've got to see exactly when you want to start paddling, you've got to start see exactly where the wave is and where you need to be in association with that.
And which one to pick, which wave is better. Sometimes if you're a regular foot with your left foot forward, you want to go to the right, so you're looking for the rights. The person who's goofy foot, they want to go to the left, so they're looking for that. So it's constant. We call it ocean knowledge out there. And it takes a while. We have people that do it all the time. I always tell the people, the entry-level people, said, this is hard. This is probably one of the hardest things you've ever going to try. But it's not impossible. But you've just got to just kind of look out for the conditions and just be in sync with the ocean. Be relaxed. When you're out there and you've lost your board and your leash is tugging on, you always tell people just relax and just try to stay calm.
You mentioned the gentle waves in Myrtle Beach and all along the South Carolina coast. That's pretty much the conditions that we have here. Are those conducive to learning to surf or
Yes.
being able to surf at a high level?
If the waves broke a little further from the beach and we had a little bit longer way to ride, then it'd be even better for the entry-level person. But they they can get the job done with the conditions we have now. Because the surf is so small, kids around here can learn to surf early. We've had several national champions from this area that have learned to surf in that 9, 10, 11, 12 years age group. And then as they progress even older, their abilities get even stronger because they learn how to surf in such small waves. So when they get to a little larger surf, they do really well.
And you were saying earlier that when they have the surf competitions, you don't know what size wave you're going to get. So
Never know.
If they're coming from the East Coast, coming from South Carolina, and the waves are small that day, they might have an advantage over some guys who are used just to big waves.
Guys from the East Coast and national events always do really well because they're a lot quicker on their feet. The Hawaiians do really well when the big surf, but they're a little slower to get to their feet. Not that they're slow; they just riding bigger waves.
That's what they're used to.
And if you're riding small waves, you got to be fast. So the kids from the East Coast are always a little quicker, a little bit better on their games. And if the waves are that's small in the finals of these big events, guys from the East Coast always do really well.
What kind of lessons, life lessons, does a person learn from being out on the water and surfing?
Respect. I think they really learn respect for for the ocean, for the environment, for nature. It's a very special gift to be able to be as close as we are to the beach and go out there and enjoy it. But even more of a gift to be able out there and ride something that's that's just there for a second.
Mm-hmm. So Mark Allison from Surf City Surf Shop, thanks for coming by here and talking about surf conditions in Myrtle Beach and some of the things that you're looking for out there on the water. And you've got your surf camps running right through the end of August.
Yes, we're having a great time.
Well, good deal. Hope you're having a good summer, and I hope everybody else is having a good summer too. There's a lot more of this show to come, though, so stick around.